Sarah, welcome to the show.
Hey.
All right, so I haven't actually gotten a chance to talk to you very much since you've been home. This is like you've been up here what 3 or 4 times over the years?
Yeah, I think I started coming up in, what is this, 18? So 15?
Yeah.
15, 16? Yeah, 2015 or 16.
And where you've been in San Antonio? Did you say?
No, I was in Illinois, down by St. Louis.
Oh, that's
Scott
right.
Air Force
Yeah.
Base.
Okay, so you were in the Air Force.
Yep.
You are now out of the Air Force.
Yep. Retired in September.
What were you doing in the Air Force?
I was a medic.
Okay. And now, what are you going to do now?
So now it's called Military Operations Analyst. It's kind of on the intelligence side of things. It's kind of been my goal all along. So
Right.
I want to say it must have been like 2009. I kind of decided that being a medic wasn't what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. I deployed that year, 2009-10. I got a taste of some intelligence stuff, and I was like, this is what I want to do.
So where were you deployed to?
To Iraq.
Okay.
It was Joint Base Balad at the time.
And what was going on there?
It was, I mean, not much really. It was, I don't even know, 2009-10. There wasn't too much going on.
Was that post-surge?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. So it was probably...
Yeah, I guess so, because Obama had gotten in the presidency in 2008, and Petraeus was surge in 2006 or 7 or something like that.
Yeah, I think 3, 4.
Was it that early? Yeah.
I think so, yeah. So this was probably just like...
So how did you get into intelligence if you were a medic?
So I actually got lucky. I got a good deployment with... it was a special forces group out there.
Yeah.
And we would monitor, kind of watch their missions when they were out. So we had this big TV. At the time, I had no idea, didn't even understand any of the concepts of what I was watching. But we called it Kill TV. So we'd watch these guys go out on their missions.
What are they filming it from, like a Predator or something?
Yeah, at that time it was an unmanned. It was a UAV.
Okay.
So yeah, we would sit and watch their missions. The purpose was to make sure, so if somebody got shot, somebody got hurt, that we could get a 9-line to get a helicopter out to pick them up.
Right.
So to me, that was really so exciting. I mean, the fact that I'm watching these guys on a mission, like, busting doors in, you know what I mean? So I was hooked from there.
Yeah.
But.
And then now you're going to be a private contractor, though.
Yeah, it's a government contract.
Government contract. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you work for a private company, though, right? Is that how it works?
Yeah, it's a company that the government has contracted.
Okay.
So.
And you'll be doing pretty much the same stuff, or?
A little more, but yeah, I'll still be watching feeds, but it would be manned aircraft instead of unmanned aircraft.
Okay, so helicopters, that kind of stuff.
No, they had just these little planes, little spy planes.
Okay. Are you allowed to say where you're going, or?
I'm going to Bagram, to Afghanistan.
Okay. You know what? It's funny that you don't even. And maybe it's me because I'm so tuned out, but you just don't hear much about what's going on anymore as far as...
Yeah.
You know, it's so far away from being a war effort at this point. It's more like some kind of weird police action all over these countries where we're just kind of...
Yeah, I think a lot of it's
guys.
training their security, their police forces and their military. I've got friends that have gone out and trained medics. They've done, all kinds of stuff.
Are they picking any of this up? It seems like we've been training them for years.
Honestly, I don't know. I've never had the opportunity to work one-on-one with the Afghans to know how much they're retaining and processing.
So we were talking a little bit about what you're going to have to go through as far as being a female over there, and have they given you like restrictions and rules to live by just to get by, or?
No, so I think the biggest thing is probably clothing, obviously. I mean, I don't have to go out and like fully covered from head to toe, but a lot of it, no tank tops, no open-toed shoes. I think some of the shoe thing's probably safety too, but it's cultural.
You were a Midi Studies major in college, did you say?
So, yep, I did my master's degree in international security and intelligence, and then my focus was Middle Eastern stuff. So I did have to do one course in the Pacific, and that was more Japanese, Korean.
Right.
So, but yeah, most of my...
So you've kind of been leading up to this the whole time, right? I mean...
once I figured out what I wanted to do, and found this program. So I got my bachelor's degree. I graduated in 2007, I think. No, 2010 as political science. and I didn't really know what I was going to do with it.
Right.
But
Where'd you graduate from?
Troy University.
Okay.
It's out of Alabama.
Okay.
So I finished it while I was actually deployed with the Army then.
Right.
And that was when I was like, this is what I want to do. So the next year, actually, I think that summer, I found a program, this international security program. So,
you want to learn Arabic or anything like this? Or?
I would love to, but I just don't have the patience to try to teach myself.
Yeah, I was never a good language student at all.
Yeah, I took 3 years of French in high school, and it was awful.
Yeah, I've got a girl in here right now who's slowly trying to teach me French. So she started to write a phrase on the board it was supposed to be every day, but I can't pick it up that quickly, so I'm practicing it all
week.
Can
we start with a word?
Right,
Just a word.
So now I can say, where's the bathroom? So that was my first one. I've got that pretty much down, so now we're going to move on to where is something else. So maybe we can learn words that way. But so you were Middle Eastern. What do you? I read the article about the Iran deal and us backing out of the Iran deal. I think we have a problem in this country. Big surprise that no matter who the president is, a large segment of the population is going to criticize everything he does, one way or another. And they did the same thing to Obama. They're doing the same thing to Trump. Mm-hmm. What is your view on that original deal, and what do you think about us pulling out of it?
So when I initially wrote that article, I knew nothing about it. I had to find something to write on, and then when I started doing the research, I was pretty intrigued by all of it. And I think when I wrote it, and I probably even put in there that at the time it was probably, we didn't have any other options. It wasn't the perfect decision by any stretch of the imagination, but it was action, I think, which is to me better than not doing anything. But I think, everybody was pretty skeptical about it when we signed it. And I think that now we're looking back and, I think Iran just made demands on Europe that, stay out of our business with, what we're doing with ballistic missiles and continue to buy our oil, and we'll continue this, deal.
With I think people don't understand, and I've never been in the military, but one of the things that I learned from a very young age, so I grew up in a very suburban, white bread, kind of existence growing up, and I got a job first as a bar bouncer and then in a correctional facility. What I had to learn really fast is that a large segment of the population doesn't think like I do. So they're not rational thinkers. They're not realistic. So when I would be working in a jail and I would tell a 150-pound inmate, hey, you need to go to your cell. You screwed up. Just go there for now. We'll let you out at the end of the night. Don't worry about it. And they would blow up. And now I've got to put my hands on this guy, and he's made it 10 times worse. Than if he just would have went, all right, I screwed up, and go to my cell and be rational. And I think people look at it and go, well, I'm a rational person. Why can't everyone else think like I do? And when you look at these countries like Iran or North Korea, they're not thinking like we do. No. There's a lot of other cultural things going on that's keeping them from thinking like...
And regional stuff. I think the regional stuff is a big driving factor with specifically Iran and or North Korea.
Right.
Like regional dominance and making sure that they stay a superpower in their area, and that their policies and their relationships are maintained.
Yeah, and when we ousted Saddam, it really seemed to amp the Iranians up. Like it almost gave them, having those two there equally destructive, poor acting countries. At least they didn't like each other.
Right.
And there was a lot of back and forth. But I think Iran was more than happy that we took out Saddam and made Iraq into a place that they could infiltrate. And I'm guessing that a lot of the people that you were dealing with over there were at least Iran sponsored, if not Iranians themselves.
In Iraq?
Yeah.
Honestly, it's possible. There's no telling where everybody was from and what their
certainly weren't talking to
Tent
you
was,
guys,
yeah,
right?
yeah. No, I tried to stay away. Trying to stay away.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, I just got done reading that book, The Looming Tower, which was amazing. And the thing I liked about it was it didn't come from the perspective of, you know, it wasn't an American perspective on the whole 9/11. It was a pretty down the middle. This is how we all got to this point, and here were the failures, and here's why, you know, radical Islam started to amp up, and it all started kind of in Egypt, and the Egyptian government kind of rounding up these radicals and putting them in prisons and torturing them, and then them kind of spreading out, and you know, kind of blaming a lot of their issues on America's involvement with Israel, and it just it's crazy how you watch it spread out through these seemingly unconnected strands that globally affect everyone, you know. And that movie was really disturbing, and a lot of our intelligence failures, you know. Not just intelligence, but I mean heads of states, like Secretary of State failure. You saw reports and you did nothing. Did nothing about it, and then you act like it's no big deal that you did nothing. Yeah. I mean, I read another book. It was called 500 Days, and it was the 500 days after 9/11. It was almost like where the Looming Tower left off. And it you know, in the very first part of the book, they're talking about it. Well, you know, we warned you this was coming. We told you that this was happening, and to be on the lookout for this. And these people were in the country, and you know, and it wasn't just the Bush administration. The end of the Clinton administration didn't want to do anything about it either. You know, Clinton always banged on the table and said, "Oh, you know, I almost got him. I wanted Osama bin Laden so bad." Nobody wanted him. You know, what are you gonna do with him when you get him? That's okay. So that was what my thinking was. They kept offering all these governments in the Middle East kept, hey, you want him? Here he is, come get him. And we were like, no, we don't want him, you know. Makes you wonder, why do we? Yeah, I don't think anyone took that threat seriously, you know, until it was way too late. And then the overreach and overreaction came, and we deal with things like the Patriot Act and everything else now. And so when are you actually going to be leaving for? So I should leave next Friday. And you go right there, or? Yeah, I'll go. Well, by means of indirect travel, I'll get there eventually. So hopefully within the next 3 to 4 days after that, I'll be there. So what does your family feel about you doing this stuff? So I don't think, my dad was not happy at first. My mom's still not happy. But my dad and Sue, my stepmom, have kind of, I think, explaining to them that Bagram is just any other base in the States that you just pick it up and you put it in shithole country in the Middle East. You know what I mean? It's not like there's levels of security to get on base. It's not free, come and go as you want. I'm not out in the middle of nowhere with, you know, living in a tent with, you know, no security or anything. They'd probably be much more happy if you were settling down with some nice young boy. And I don't have time for that. I don't have time for that. Yeah. My brother was there, and he said it kind of reminded me of the old MASH episodes, because every once in a while someone would try to mortar the base. Yeah. But they weren't very good at it at all. So they would either have the trajectory wrong, where it would go all the way over the base and, you know, way out of range, or they would shoot straight up and straight down on themselves. And so it was like every night at a certain time they would do this, and it was like, oh shit, we gotta take shelter now. And I think my first deployment to Iraq, 2004, so it was Ramadan time that I was out there, and it was every night after prayer they would start launching rockets or mortars at us. Yeah, like, so people who don't understand Ramadan it's kind of a fluid. It's not always the same time of year, I don't think. So I think they move it. It's close to the same time of year, but I think it's similar to Easter, and I'm not super up to speed the same on. Way, yeah, I think it's similar to Easter, as in it's seasonal, but not, you know, it doesn't happen on June 15th of every year. And they don't eat when the sun is shining. Is that what it is? They fast all day. Fast all day until the sun goes down. And then start flinging mortars. Yeah. Yeah, right. They're angry. Yeah. Yeah. I'm one of these people who and I think you've known just from talking to me, is I'm very supportive of our troops that are over there. I am not supportive of the reasons why we're over there. I think we won, whether we went to Iraq for good reasons or bad reasons. I think we won both those wars in a matter of months, if not weeks, and we're stuck in this loop of having to now repair our damage and make sure, we didn't do this stuff 100 years ago or 70 years ago with Japan. It was like, okay, boom.
Yeah, it's so funny. My dad and I have this argument all the time.
Well, what are your thoughts on it?
I don't know. I mean, I guess having been there, I feel like you can't just, because it's not a war. You know what I mean? Japan was World War II. That was, I think we're too busy trying to maintain a relationship and maintain peace with how Afghans view us and how Iraqis view us. And I just don't think that's ever possible. So I honestly don't see, we can blow stuff up today and fix it tomorrow, and they're going to blow it up the next day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've heard stories about, we've got teams that go out and build, it's a provincial reconstruction team. So they'll build schools and they'll build hospitals and all this stuff. I don't even remember where it was, but they were building a school. It was a girls' school, and the locals kept telling them, stop building this school because all they're going to do is blow it up.
Because it's a girls' school?
Yeah. So they built this school, and a week later, they blew it up.
Yeah.
So.
It's very difficult. I don't know that, growing up, I took Russian in high school because we were still right at the end of the Cold War. We weren't sure what was going on with Russia. I've met a handful of Russian people in my life. One of my favorite human beings on the planet is Alina Wenzel, who's was a wife of another good friend of mine. And I could sit down with Alina and have a conversation all day long. Here's a woman who grew up north of the Arctic Circle. She grew up as far away from Vermilion, Ohio as I could possibly get. And I have a feeling that if I can talk to her and we have similar interests and similar thoughts on things, we could do that with just about anyone in the world. But I don't think we're dealing with the same civilized culture as we would with say the Russian people, where we could have a lot of similar thoughts, and we both like Metallica from 1989. We're dealing, and I don't know because I haven't dealt with them, but it seems like a very caveman-esque style of thinking.
On one hand, it does, but on the other hand, I mean, you're using cell phones and all kinds of things to detonate bombs, and that's not an archaic kind of skill. You know what I mean? You have to have some kind of knowledge and technology to do that.
Yeah.
So you're still living in mud and dirt huts in the side of the hill, but you have access to internet and satellite and all this other stuff.
I think maybe it's more the frame of knowledge, the frame of thinking, where we are following this dogma of religion to the point where, if you aren't a believer in Allah, that you should be destroyed. And that's not in the Quran to begin with. You'll ask a scholar to find that, and they'll tell you it's not in there. This is something that these radical Islamists have convinced a lot of these hard chargers that you're going to go and die, and then the big one is the 72 virgins when they blow themselves up. Which I think when you take a guy who, let's face it, probably hasn't had a lot of sex his entire life and is 17 years old, and he's all charged up, and hey, all you have to do is this, and you're going to get everything you've ever wanted in your life,
Yep. And not to mention somebody that, we've been over there since 2001.
Forever.
So now this kid who's 17 was a child when all of this was going on. So now all he knows is that America is destroying our country.
Right.
You know what I mean? So those are easily impressionable people at that point. So now you get all these promises in the afterlife, and you hate America,
and really, what's the alternative? You're living in these ultraviolet areas of the world with not much money and not many hopes for anything. And if you were a true believer that something else lays in that afterlife, why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's super difficult to deal with. Like I said, I wish we would have just, if we had to do what we did, we just won the war and got the hell out of there. And I hate the fact that, we have to have a charity event on Monday to help the families of special operations guys who aren't around anymore. It's that's a hard pill to swallow, especially in this day and age where you'd think by now all this would have been sorted out after all these thousands of years of hitting each other over the head with clubs.
No, I agree. I think it's tough.
Do you see any end in sight to this?
Honestly, I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's not Afghanistan or Iraq, it's going to be Syria or Yemen or, any of these other countries that hate us. I mean, there might be kind of a downhill to some of it, but I don't think it's ever going to end. It's never ended.
Right. We've shifted, but we haven't ended it. What do you think about like the refugee problem coming out of Syria and going into these other countries? I know we haven't really seen a huge influx of Syrian refugees. Like everyone was trying to scare you.
I was going to say, there was talk for a while that we were going to bring in so many. Yeah, I honestly think it's probably too soon to tell. You know what I mean? You've got people that you don't know what their education level is. You don't know what their ability to work is, their health. I think there's a lot of unknowns that, still years down the road, maybe, it might be a good thing for European economies because now you have people that can work and, bring in, but...
you see these stories on Facebook and videos, and who knows what they actually are. Yeah. I never trust
My first question is, where'd you hear that?
Right.
Facebook. Okay, we're done talking about it.
I remember, God, I don't remember there was some kind of problem. There was a terrorist attack or something like that. People were freaked out, and then all over Facebook you started to see that there were 10,000 Syrian refugees at the port of New Orleans waiting for entry into the country. So that was all over Facebook for like a week, where it was just, we have to stop this. And I think it was right at the end of the Obama administration. Yeah. So everyone was thinking that, Barry was bringing in his Syrian refugee buddies and all this garbage.
Yeah.
So thankfully...
I'm laughing that you called him Barry.
Yeah, that was always the thing.
I just picked up on that.
My brother happened to have been the Master Chief at the port of New Orleans.
And he's like, none of this is
going on.
So
what's going on? I called him. I said, Matt, hey, what's going on? Are there really 10,000 refugees on the docks down there waiting to get in? He goes, I don't know. I haven't been to work this morning. Let me give you a call back.
Yeah. Pretty sure if there were 10,000 refugees waiting, he would have been
He would know, right? So he gets to work. My brother's a very calm, rational guy. He's like the exact opposite of me. I'm super emotional. He's just steady. And which is probably how you become a Master Chief in the Coast Guard as opposed to me, who runs a stupid podcast. But he calls me back and he's like, there's a family here. There's 3 women and a guy. So there's a father, a mother, a grandmother, and a daughter.
Oh my gosh, 10,000 people.
They've all been vetted, and yes, we're waiting to release them to family members. It's like, oh my God, how in the hell does 4 people, 3 of them women, become 10,000 Syrian refugees?
Yeah, I think Facebook, social media in general, is just stupid.
It's really hard to deal with.
Yeah, it's not the place to post your political beliefs, and half the stuff that people share is stupid, and there's absolutely no truth behind any of it.
Right.
I think my stepmom showed me something the other day. Somebody posted, there's a airport, Tel Aviv airport has a security thing that if somebody comes in with a bomb, it blows them up. Okay, come on. Let's think about this.
You blow them up right in the airport?
Yeah. So what if there's 15 people around?
Right.
You know what I mean? How do you contain that explosion? So my dad got on something and had to fact check it. And he's like, it's not true. Like, of course.
I try to share a lot of things on Facebook, but I don't do a lot of status updates. And to be honest, I don't read a lot of people's Facebook stuff. So I like Instagram because it's a little bit more positive.
I do. Yeah, it's pictures or videos.
Pictures of people doing cool stuff. And so I'll share stuff from Instagram to Facebook a lot. And my wife will laugh at me because she'll send me a screenshot of her updates on on Facebook, and it's all like me, like shared. It's all like, nature is metal,
Yeah.
and all these crazy Instagram pages. But and then anytime someone posts anything political,
I just scroll past it.
well,
I can't even.
I unfollow them.
Oh, do
Unfollow is
you?
the best button in the world,
Yeah.
And I just, and then I never have to see that again. Or someone will like a certain. There's some guy. He's like a cowboy looking guy who's always like in his truck giving these conservative, his conservative
Graham.
rundown.
I can't think of his name. Graham somebody.
He was
Graham Allen or
yes,
something. Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And he was on yesterday with the guy, the old man from Duck Dynasty, the with the beard.
Yeah, the uncle
who doesn't like gay people. So
yeah.
See, I'm like, I went in. I'm like, okay, how did this show up on my newsfeed?
Yeah,
Why am I watching this? Because as far as I'm concerned, I like gay people better than straight people. I've said it a million times. They're clean. They're well behaved. Right? They always pay their membership fees on time. So I personally tend to like them better. So I'm like going in and trying to find out how this showed up on my newsfeed. Yeah. How do I make sure it doesn't happen again? So I try to live in this insulated bubble of only people that I like, and I think that solves a lot of problems. But like I said with the Iran deal, is I don't know what's going on in the world outside my bubble, and I don't know if that's good or bad. But
I think it changes so much that even if you were paying attention to everything, I mean.
Yeah, who can pay attention to all this stuff?
Not me. I really, honestly, since I graduated last year, I haven't done a whole lot of current affairs type stuff.
And you're in the midst of it, Yeah,
and you can pull up the news one day and you can pull it up 2 days later, and it's completely different than what it was.
The other thing is you can watch CNN here and Fox News here, and they can be telling the exact same story, and it sounds completely different.
Yeah.
That's what's scary is you never know. I wish I've like Googled, the most. I tried to get a news app on my phone that would give me just
like bipartisan,
news, no bullshit. Excuse me, news every day, so I can just look and go, this is going on today. But
none of them are like that.
No,
none of
everyone
them.
has some kind of agenda.
Yeah.
And it's creepy to me that they don't put it off as this is our opinion. That they put it off as this is what's actually going on.
And the scary thing is that some people base their entire life on that newscast. It's scary.
How old are your parents?
60.
So like
5.
So like like mine and Aaron's parents, and you go over to my parents' house or Aaron's parents' house, and I think this goes for a lot of people in that baby boomer generation. But Fox News is blaring.
Oh yeah.
All day long, and it's just like what.
I canceled my cable when I lived in Illinois, and my dad's like, well, what am I gonna watch? You're not.
That's what we did too. And the only thing that kills Aaron's father is he's an Iowa Hawkeyes maniac. So he comes over, he can't watch Iowa Hawkeye football. So we're trying to find apps on an iPad to get him to watch stuff. But that's probably 4 years ago. We canceled. We just watch Netflix when we're bored, But I think that's just the way to go, and try to find out what's going on from people who are actually doing it. So, I mean, from now on, I'll just ask you what's going on. What's going on in Afghanistan?
Hey, what's this?
What's the word on the street, Sarah? Give me the scoop on this.
Yeah.
You look at all the problems in this country, and you look at not just Syrian refugees, but people coming up from Mexico and all this stuff, and people either wanting to build a wall or the extreme opposite where just everybody can come in. And one of the things that struck me is when we were down in Mexico this year, and I'd been to Mexico once, but I'd never gotten on a bus and gone into Mexico. Right. And the amount of poverty you've seen, people living in houses smaller than the studio, and when you look at an issue like that, building a wall is not going to stop these people from wanting a better life. You have this horrible third world country butting up against this land of opportunity.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And I can't blame some guy who's living in a doghouse for wanting to come across and getting money for him and his family. But I think you can't just look at issues like that, whether it's Syrian refugees or or Mexican refugees, not looking at all the other things surrounding it. Like, why don't we legalize drugs in this country, and then we don't have this horrible drug trade,
right?
And people being mules.
Government can tax the
legal
purchases.
It's happening in Colorado, and they're making.
Oh my God, cigarettes! Cigarettes are ridiculously expensive. People still buy them by the case.
Still buying them, and you don't. And it's not dangerous. Thing. You don't have to go down to some sketchy. When I buy marijuana, I couldn't even tell you who I go to because it's a sketchy person.
Right.
But or things like our tax system where they worry about these people coming across and they're not citizens and not paying taxes. Well, why don't you get rid of the income tax and just start taxing products? So when the Mexican immigrant comes over and buys a coffee,
they're paying
tax just like everybody else, But I don't think people, the Democrats want to look at their side of the issue and only deal with that, and the Republicans only want to deal with their side of the issue, and I don't know what we're gonna do. It's scary to even think about, where this country is by the time my son is my age,
Yeah, I'm actually thankful that I chosen not to have kids.
How old are you?
27.
Oh, you haven't chosen. I'm
actually 38, but.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow,
yep.
I just blasted our speaker by yelling that loud. I was very surprised. I didn't think I honestly thought you were in your 20s.
Yeah.
I thought you were.
Thanks. I'll go with it as long as I can if you don't question it. But yeah, I think probably early mid-20s there was a point in time that I would have had kids, but I can't imagine bringing up kids in this world. It just makes me sad. It scares me.
Do you get the people who give you shit about it?
No, actually I don't. And honestly, I think that I've probably always been on this path since I was a kid. You know what I mean? I don't really think I've never been like the motherly kind. I've never been the I don't want the fairy tale wedding and the white picket fence. Yeah. So I don't think anybody has ever questioned it or
Aaron took some heat when we first got married because everyone was just assuming now that she was going to have kids. Well, I was 38 or 39 and she was 36 and it was like I already had a I don't know how old he was back then, 6, 7, 8-year-old son and she took a lot of heat for not going that route,
Really?
But it was like we really want to enjoy our lives and go and travel and see cool stuff and do things and not have to go to 15 basketball games on a weekend.
Right.
And you see all these people who are
God,
I gotta go to another soccer game, We had this, we were at New Year's Eve one night, and her brother hopefully was listening to this because he'll remember this. So New Year's Eve, we had just got married, and it was a couple months before we got married. So we're at New Year's Eve with this beautiful place for dinner, and it was me and Aaron and her brother and his girlfriend at the time. And he's kind of giving us shit about her not being pregnant.
Yeah.
And she's kind of just rolling her eyes, and and she kind of said, well, we're trying, gave one of these, kind of blow him off. And he goes, what are you doing to try? And I looked at him and I said, I'm humping your sister every other night. That was the last word I ever heard from him on the issue.
I don't even understand why you would ask that question.
Matt is very, I love him so much, but he's so fixated on you have to have children in a home and pay your mortgage and do all these things. So but that's 38 maybe I was at 27 I was like you haven't made any decisions yet. I mean
life is just too easy at this point. I've got a dog, but
it's too easy living really going to Afghanistan. That's how long? Okay, so you got your dog. Were you leaving him with Tara and Tyler for how long?
For 2 months.
Okay.
Yep. So I'll pick her up when I come back, and then we'll head to Texas, and I've got her next stop lined up for her.
So how does it work now? You're deployed for 2 months.
Home for 2 months.
Home for 2 months, and then you go somewhere else? You going right back to the same place?
Same place, yeah.
Okay.
I go to the same place every time.
So you'll just kind of rotate people to take care of the animal when you're gone?
My goal is to find somebody somewhere she can go every 2 months. That way she doesn't have to figure out a new routine and a new place to sleep. And, she's a trooper. This is deployment number 4 for her, I think. So, she gets it, but.
How psyched is she when you finally come home after these
I don't know. She's like, oh, you're home.
Yeah.
Okay, back to normal. I don't know. She's a weirdo.
Yeah.
But
That's cool.
She's funny.
Well, what's going on training wise? What have you been doing? I mean, last time I saw you were CrossFitting in Illinois, right?
Yep.
What's going on now?
Still doing that. I think my mindset with CrossFit has kind of changed a little bit. So I'm kind of out of the competitive, push everybody to do well in open and get to regionals. You know what I mean? I at this point I want people to move better, to live better, and to live longer. I don't care if you do the open.
What changed your mind?
I don't know. I honestly don't. I think so. I got my level 1 in 2015. When I got my level 1, I was like, oh, I don't want to coach because I'm quiet and shy and I don't like being in front of people.
Yeah.
And then I started coaching and I love it.
Yeah.
And I love working with people that are just beginners. Honestly, that's probably my favorite thing is working with people that have never had to control their extremities and
right. Yeah.
I love that. And then I think my ultimate goal would be to do adaptive type stuff.
Yeah, you were talking about that.
So yeah, I went to the adaptive course in April, and my goal would be to find a gym. And San Antonio actually has a huge population of like combat vets down there because they've got Fort Sam Houston, whatever, SAMC, BAMC, those places. But they do a lot of their recovery down there and then just kind of stay. So.
Do you have a gym once you're down there?
I have one. I talked to them the other day that I'm gonna check out.
Which one is that?
It's called Lone Star.
Okay.
Really crazy. They're going to the games this year.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm anti-open, but I'm gonna go to a gym that got a regional.
Well, it doesn't mean. I mean,
now,
if you're good, you're good.
Yeah.
We have a friend down there who owns Elite CrossFit, and I can't remember the name of it. He owns 2 CrossFit gyms in San Antonio. It's Elite. I don't remember the other one, but if you ever need any place,
you have to let me know.
Yeah, he was
check it out.
was Aaron's gave Aaron her first coaching gig down there.
Oh, okay.
And they do real good, real traditional type CrossFit-y type place, but but so you kind of got fed up with trying to kill yourself during the open every year, and
I think I got fed up with other people trying to kill themselves during the open every year. I got fed up with people having to redo it every Sunday because, oh my God, I got one rep better than you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're not going to regionals. You're not. Right. Why do you need to redo the workout?
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think that's the kind of stuff that really turned me off from the open. I didn't do it. What is this? 2017 was the first year I didn't do it. And it was the first year I actually enjoyed doing the open workouts. If I wanted to do it, I would do it. If not, I wasn't stressed. I didn't spend all night Thursday night strategizing, figuring out how am I going to break this up. I just did the workouts, and it was like.
What an amazing, say what you want about CrossFit, and I am not a fan of CrossFit HQ. Everybody knows that.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of functional fitness.
Yeah.
I love it. I think it's the best thing that's ever happened to fitness. But what an incredible job of marketing they've done to take all these thousands, if not millions of people and say, you're going to pay, $35 to do a competition that you have almost zero chance of making it to the next level.
Right.
And we're going to stress you out to the point where it's like you're trying to go to the Olympics, And when they take all these people with all these, for lack of a better term, mental problems. They have all these anxiety issues, and they amp it up. And Thursday night, they do the WWE type 2 people.
Oh yeah, the Friday Night Lights.
Yeah, right.
Come on, give me a break.
What an incredible job of reeling in cash.
And good job on gyms for kind of pulling that into their workouts too. I know so many gyms that do a Friday Night Lights kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know too many that do a face-off thing, but
right. My good friend out in Westlake, I always tell people, if you want a traditional CrossFit gym in northern Ohio, you go to Black Flag out in Westlake, because Tom Reedy out there they're CrossFit. That's what they do, but Tom is actually very cerebral and he works all this stuff out, but they do some kind of Friday Night Lights or Thursday Night Lights, whatever it is, where they all get together and they put their hands in the middle and they do a big break. Or if I ever went out there and had my whole gym come in and put their hands in the middle and do a break, they laugh at me, and none of them would actually do it.
What's wrong with you?
I know. I have this whole gym full of sarcastic jerks like me, so I'll kind of take it on my personality.
I like this gym a lot.
Everybody's
I know what that says about me.
CrossFit is CrossFit sketches me out, but I love.
CrossFit has changed so much, and I think I told you this the other day. I was listening to a podcast on Strength and Scotch. So, and I forget the guy's name that was on there, but he was talking about Greg Glassman CrossFit and Dave Castro CrossFit and how there's such a difference in the two. You know what I mean? And he's like, Dave Castro CrossFit is just competition stuff.
Right.
You know, and that's not what CrossFit was made for. CrossFit was made to improve people's fitness.
Yeah.
You know, so now we've got the sports side of it versus the fitness side of it. And I think that there's a fine line in the middle that people don't really know where they're at on it. So I'm falling back to the Greg Glassman side of CrossFit,
that was the roots, and that was probably the best part about it, was that original, I'm not making any money yet, but I'm actually making people healthy and strong. You look at people, I look at some of these people online, and coming from a professional strength sport where I saw a lot of drugs being used, I look at these people and go, come on.
You're on something.
Of course you're on something. This is ridiculous. Stop lying. You look like a WWE wrestler, you know? And they always talk about, well, you know, they can't beat the drug testing. I went and researched their drug testing. It's not done by WADA or anyone like that. It's this private company that does all their drug testing, that I'm sure that they could find ways to get their fingers in and make sure that, you know, whoever, Josh Bridges or whoever, I'm just throwing names out there, he's the least one that looks like he's on steroids, but, doesn't fail the drug test because they didn't.
Yeah, but then you get Laura Phelps sweat out there and go pee in a cup
I
right now.
was really upset the way they did Laura, because she was part of
She's their team.
Yeah, that was part of their staff, and they could have just said, hey, don't do this, you know.
Yeah. I think there's some sketchy stuff that goes on. I don't know if you saw, there was a video, Brooke Wells doing her handstand push-ups for the Open.
Oh, you were telling me about that.
She wasn't doing something. Her range of motion wasn't right. And Dave Castro said, well, it meets the intent of intensity or something ridiculous. Come on.
She looks good in her Reebok booty shorts, so we have to have her on there.
She's a big name for CrossFit. And I'm not dogging Brooke Wells. I think she's awesome. You know, she works out down in St. Louis.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I'm just...
Josh Bridges got
caught
be
fair, man.
blocking out his deadlifts. And what bugged me was Danny Seidel a couple years ago from up here. Danny Seidel went through the Open and freaking annihilated the world. She just
She's not even doing CrossFit anymore, is she?
I think she is, but it's not
competitive.
CrossFit. She's doing her own thing. And I just made air quotes, and you can't see that.
I know. That's me and my hand.
But she destroyed everybody. And I think because there was a suspicion of drug use, they looked at her standards way more harshly than everyone else. And they gave her shit about her box jumps not being fully locked out or something. But, I mean, she could have locked out and paused on her jumps, on her box jumps, and still beaten everyone. But she was just on her game that year. And it bummed me out because when you looked at Danny, I mean, she was a beautiful girl, and there was obviously years of hard work there, but whether or not it was drugs or whether or not it was just hard work, her body was a little bit harder than, say, Camille's or Brooke Wells, you know. And I don't think they wanted her in their game. You know, I don't think they wanted her in there. And that's kind of the impression I got, was like, oh, we're really nitpicking this because you know, maybe we think she's on drugs and she doesn't recover fat, you know, the same way everyone else does, and get soft again. And I don't know, that's the kind of stuff that I look at coming from a strength sport and going, I've seen this before, and you know, you're not fooling. Well, at least you're not fooling me. I've seen it before. And, but I think that's your Dave Castro CrossFit as opposed to Glassman and
yeah, they gave me a hard time this year for not doing the open. So I have like two of the guys that own the gym that I was coaching at, and I told one of them, I'm like, I'm not gonna do the open. He's like, that's fine. He's like, just don't discourage anybody else from doing it. You know what I mean? And I wouldn't, you know.
Right.
And then the other one's like, what? You know, you need to lead from the front. You're one that coaches. You need to set the example. I'm like, I'm setting the example by
saying
not
doesn't
doing,
really matter.
Yeah,
I just want to be healthy.
I don't have the time, the money, the energy. I don't have that type of lifestyle to put into getting to regionals, nor do I want to go to regionals. You know,
I wish more coaches.
I want to work out and I want to coach and.
Yeah, and
like
I wish more coaches would, or more owners would see that. You know, CrossFit. If you close your doors tomorrow, CrossFit's not going to come and help you.
No.
They're not going to care.
No.
They'll just open up another one in the gym right next door to you. But you're supposed to gather your whole gym and talk them into paying this money.
$25.
Yeah, and then after they don't make it, then what they want you to do is have them come out and volunteer at regionals, and we're going to give you a Reebok T-shirt to volunteer at regionals in the CrossFit Games. Great, that'll work, and people line up to do it. You know, they want to be volunteers, and I more power to them, but that just wasn't for us. We just.
How long were you affiliated? Not long, right?
No, we opened in December of 2012. We dropped our affiliation in, I want to say late 2014. Okay. So a couple years we were affiliate, and we never fit in with the crowd. And the thing of it is when I was looking at it, you don't want me teaching you how to do muscle ups. And you don't want me teaching you to do handstand walks. You know, that's not what I do. You know, and Erin was a regional competitor, so she could do that stuff. Yeah. But still, Erin was a 180-pound girl who could, you know, squat 300 and deadlift 350. Yeah. That's not. What we did was the strength aspect of it.
Oh, I noticed. When I come here, I'm like.
So we just decided we were going to go with, you know, what we're good at, you know, and double down and triple down on that, and forget about the stuff I'm never going to compete against you know, Tom out in Black Flag. I'm never going to compete with that because that's not what I do, and I have no, you know, but his people aren't going to come in here and be able to lift 400-pound Atlas stones. Right. You know, it's just stick with what you're good at and stay in your lane, and I think it'll make you a happier person in general.
Yeah. I think a lot of CrossFit, I think that a lot of gyms need to branch out and do a little more with the powerlifting and the Olympic lifting, and I think that there needs to be more focus on that kind of stuff because that's constantly buried.
Absolutely right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like if I do, you know, the same whatever every day, if I'm doing cleans every day with a bar, I'm not getting any better at cleans really. You know, you need to add those things in there to kind of shock your system.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, like work your lower back and work your hamstrings.
And like I love D-balls. I bought a 70-pound D-ball at home. I mean, like, just go do cleans, throw it over the shoulder, you know? Like, but I think to me, that's more than, you know, going in the gym and doing, you know, 3 sets of 5 power cleans, you know?
Right, yeah.
So I enjoy more of the conditioning, just moving, hard work, strength.
There's something to be said about that.
I call it just bitch work. Like, just miserable, you gotta do it, and you gotta get it done, you know?
We started adding in a lot more, I tweak our program all the time, but lately we've added in a lot more strongman metcons. Gives our people more chances to get their hands on tires and yokes and Atlas stones. But they're always these metcons that are just like, you just feel like you're going to die through the whole thing, and then when you get done you just have this endorphin rush where you just feel so great, and you go out the rest of the day and just feel like you can do anything. And there's something to be said for that struggle where you don't think you can do it and you get through it and you do this day after day after day, and I think it makes better people, you know.
I gotta tell you, the other thing I really like about your programming, so just this week, because normally I'm only here one day,
like
you know,
a
day or two, so I really appreciate the fact that there's no weights written on the board, or that it's 65% of your 1 rep max. You know what I mean? I think we put RX scaled, RX plus, or whatever we want to call it, and then everybody is like, oh, I have to do RX, or he's doing RX, I need to do RX, or you know what I mean? I like that the first day I was here, it was, what was it, kettlebell swings, wall balls, and something else. There was no weight written on there, you know, so that to me, I could have done lighter, or I could have done heavier, but You know what I mean? I feel like it gives me a chance to, I know what I need to work on.
Right.
I know what my strengths and weaknesses are. So I'm going to do heavier, or I'm going to do lighter, you know?
We call that the Vanessa rule. So we had a girl in here, Vanessa, who was such a hard worker and just an absolute animal. But she was 4'11" and maybe 100 pounds and was never going to RX anything ever, even the lightest RX. And she made the comment to Aaron one day that I'm never going to hit an RX in anything. And we just thought, okay, that is horrible.
Yeah.
And what does it matter? And if she's doing the RX weight and Aaron is doing the RX weight and it's super easy for Aaron and impossible for Vanessa, Aaron's not getting any workout and Vanessa's getting too much workout. So we just decided to go to an all percentage based program for the barbell. So when the barbell or a strongman implement is out, it's, let's say, 60% of what you can do. And then it's fair. And what we started to notice was now not only is everyone using 60% of their strength levels, but Vanessa's finishing faster than Aaron is.
Yeah.
Because Aaron's having to work way harder than she's ever worked in her life because the weight is so much heavier. So we always stuck with that. And when one of my coaches went down for their L1, Chris Spieler, Chris Spieler was one of the coaches, and one of the other coaches asked her about something about programming. She said something like, "Oh, well, they were trying to put together a program. She goes, let's use 60% of this." And he was like, "What do you mean 60%?"
Yeah.
And she tried to explain it to him. He's like, "Well, if your car breaks down, you're only going to push 60% of your car." And I was thinking to myself, maybe you're not going to push your car at all.
Yeah.
Or maybe the car is going to be super easy to push, you know?
Yeah.
And then Chris Spieler jumped in and he was like, "Oh, that's really interesting. I never thought to do that." It's like, so he was actually, and he kind of was the,
so he's kind of doing his own thing with programming now too. Icon Athlete.
I know he sends out his own. Yeah. I always got the, you see these guys on YouTube and who knows, but I always got the impression that he was a little bit more cerebral and understood and got it. And he put that with the fact that he was a wrestler, and wrestlers are just such.
And he's a little guy too.
Yeah,
he's got the same Vanessa problems that everybody does.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, I love your programming, or at least the way it's written. I mean, I haven't been here really long enough to see the total programming.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
What are you going to do when you're in Afghanistan?
I don't know yet. Maybe follow CrossFit Maine. We'll see.
I'm guessing they have training facilities there.
There's a gym there. I mean, it's a tent. It's not the best, but I mean, it's something. They got tires, they got D-balls, they got kettlebells, dumbbells. Yeah. They got a rig.
We donated some stuff to a gym in. Buddy of mine was a Green Beret in Somalia, near Somalia, and he sent me a picture of his gym and everything, and I'm like,
you need
what do you need? What do you need? And he's like, well, I don't know really what I need. I said, here, I sent him a $100 gift card to Rogue. I said, just order something, whatever you guys want. So I don't know what they ended up ordering, but I sent them a bunch of Blind Dog shirts.
Nice.
So I was hoping to see some Green Berets with the Blind Dog shirts on.
Yeah, right.
But those guys are a little bit too professional for that garbage. But
I don't know about all that.
But anyways, so you're leaving here in a couple days. So
I leave tomorrow for El Paso. Be there for a week and then I'll head out.
Yeah. Well, good luck to you.
Thanks.
Keep your head down, be safe, and get back here soon so we can do this again.
I'll be back in August for sure.
All right, cool. All right, well, thank you for coming on the show. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for the invite.
Wasn't too nerve-wracking?
No, I didn't need a shot before.
Right. All right. Sarah, thank you very much for coming on the show, and this has been The Refined Savage. See ya.